IoT, bringing IoT inside our community. It means IoT in a holochain. So Rezan has been implementing or busy for a while as a thesis at the university about the IoT. And for a while, she's gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna talk instead of her. The topic that we started the whole IoT topic with Rezan with her project, okay? She's gonna talk about that. But anybody else, any idea about IoT that, or do you have any idea, or do you know somebody that there is something about the IoT? We can continue the space. We can continue growing the space for IoT. And it means if you would like to come and join and code, please, if you know somebody, navigate to come here. And anything about the IoT, it's going to be started officially from the Rezan right now, but inside the community, there is a space. That's it. Be aware about that. Thank you, Rezan. I would like to say thank you in advance from my side. She's gonna talk and we are gonna support her by the question if there is any topic that can help. Please.
You are all welcome. Thank you for the introduction. So I have prepared some slides to present the whole idea. Can you allow me to share my screen?
Okay, try now. Perfect, we see it.
Yeah. So I was started my project and this is my first article. It was about creating a trust management model for IoT world. So this type of system will ensure the credibility and make the IoT device trust each other before establishing any communicating between them. So this is the diagram. Here is the car represent any IoT device. We talk in our paper in general. And this node will represent the fog node or we can call it the high performance computer or server that receive the data from IoT device and compute all the computation and trust assessment toward the IoT device. So to make things simple and clear to discuss, I have proposed such a system for the healthcare sector. So this system contains the two parts, one part for the patient and other part for evaluating the doctor. So in the patient side, we have the private network. So the patient can have his own laptop and store his health information inside it. This information such as an X-ray from the hospital or report provided from the doctor, or it could be also IoT data such as the temperature registered by IoT device or blood pressure or anything else. So this private network can be shared only with the specific person that patient will define them, such as his specific doctor, his family member, or any hospital that need his information. And in the other side, we will talk about the doctor. So after each treatment, the patient can evaluate his doctor using his smartwatch or smartphone. So I'm thinking here about implementing the two of IoT, the two of Holochain application, and we discussed this thing with Gilam and Hidayat previously. So the normal Holochain application will be installed in the hospital devices. and the light one for the patient, so the patient can't only send the rating toward his doctor. So in terms of the hospital side, this network will be a public network. So this hospital will collect all the rates from the patient toward the doctor. Then it will compute the overall trust level and assign it to each doctor. So this data should be also be updated as much as these doctors are active. And here is our concern: how can the Holochain application do all these operation and performance in and process in high performance? Okay, here is the more detail about the system. So we have two different types of network. The first one is the private network for the patient. So the patient can create his own profile, and after he interact with the doctor, he can uh, store in his own private network the treatment record. This treatment record will be stored in both of the patient side and also in the hospital side as an evidence. After that, patient can rate his doctor, and here is in the hospital system. This hospital will store each single rating toward this doctor as an evidence, and also compute the average of trust score that received from patient, then update the trust level of his doctor. After that, by using the hospital system, we can retrieve this data uh, either by the doctor or the patient. Here is the general diagram for our model. So we have, this is private network for the patient, and the public network for the hospital. At the beginning, I think of making the hospital managing the doctor profile and create them, and also receive the rating to compute the trust level toward his doctor. So the hospital will manage the doctor profile and compute his trust level. In this network, I merge between the hospital and the doctor. But Gillam, in the previous discussion, he suggests to make the doctor in the separate network. So it will be like this. So each doctor should have his own private or not private, maybe public profile, so he can hold his own qualification and the rating from patient he treats. So this is the second suggestion that could be implemented. The difference here, doctor can get his authenticated trust data from the hospital and store it in his private network. So we have three different networks, one for the doctor, one for the patient, and other for the hospital, where the hospital can calculate the trust level for each patient. In the second proposal, we have both of treatment record, and each single rating will be stored in three types of network: in the hospital and in the patient network, and also in the doctor network. So it will be as an evidence. This is the third model that could be implemented. The previous one was the hospital. Each hospital will have its own private network, so it can calculate and manage the trust data about his patient and doctor. But here, all hospitals can share the same doctors and patients, and all of them will be responsible for computing the trust level of of all doctors. So here in the DHT, these are the operations that it will do. First one, the managing doctor and patient profile, and also it will store each treatment record between the patient and doctor. Also, each single rating from any patients and the trust level for each doctor. And this data will be updated frequently. Here is the both of three models. So we have a choice. I didn't decide which model should I go with, the model B or C. My concern in C is how can the Holochain provide a reliable result and manage, update the trust level of all doctors in all hospitals. So this process will be heavy for the Holochain or not. So I don't know. And that's it. Thank you for listening.
Wow, wow. Thank you. Can you stop sharing at first?
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, good job.
Thank you.
And second, guys, please, question, help, support. Because the question at the end was totally clear, but at first, let's see that you are clear, and that's why please at first ask a little bit question to warm up. Go ahead, go.
Okay, can I go ahead, share something?
And meanwhile, but wait, Rezan, is it possible that you can share this document to us? Is it okay?
Yes, here in the chat.
Yeah, in the yes chat. If it is okay, otherwise feel free, because let me also, guys, because the project it is for the university thesis, something like that. Somehow it might. I ask Rezan to share, and Rezan, feel free. I'm explaining because of your feeling. Feel free to say no, or I need to ask, because there are other teacher or somebody else helping Rezan, and that's why somehow when Rezan is going to share, supposed to receive other guys' agreement. So right now, if you think it is okay to share with us, because the people can see the difference, please do it. Otherwise, feel free to say no.
Yes, of course I can.
Thank you. Ariane, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and share the forum threads, which will give her an opportunity to see people interested in health-related topics. Later, she can look into that. Other than that, what I will mention is that technical challenges is something that Hadayat and Gulliam can answer, and they will be the best person, and others on the call will be better than me. I'm a non-developer, but I come from a healthcare background, so I'll talk about two things. I want to ask you two questions. So first is the context, the healthcare context that you have thought of, in which, like, and when I mean by context, I mean which country, which health system are you talking about? So that will be helpful, because America is different, UK is different, India is different, so world is different. So first, that is very important. Second is the timeline. Is it something like urgently you want to implement? Because I would say if it's not, then you want to just step back, get people who are already in the field, who are already in the industry, and who are already technical savvy, to bring them together, just have a brainstorming sessions, get the juices flow, hash out your idea, get more feedback, and then refine it. Because because the health industry is very big. In America, there are 350 EMR softwares that already exist. 350 EMR softwares exist. So it's like a huge industry already established. So nobody's going to take this as a product in the real world. Just to be caution of the real world, what it is. Okay.
Razan, two questions.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm repeating because First, your deadline. Do you remember? It was my question also. You can share if you would like.
The deadline?
Yes. Do you have any deadline?
For now, for my thesis, I can only focus on the trust, the trust management part, which is how to calculate and find the final result without implementing the whole system. Just the part related to trust.
Okay, good. I would like to add something that exactly I like the project because of that one, because if we are supposed to wait for some maybe a stakeholder or some company to join, maybe it's not gonna be always live. Since it is the project for the university as a thesis, as a final project, also it is nice that there is a deadline, it's gonna be finished. I like it. But your clear answer, there is a deadline. 6 months, 8 months, Razan, can you? What is your deadline? 6 months, 8 months, something like that, huh?
Yes, I'm expecting to finish in the main function in this 4 months and find the result, but not for the whole system. So the time is open somehow.
Okay.
So I submit my result and then continue with the same project. So I don't have any pressure from the university.
Okay, fair enough. Second one, clear answer. Is there any context? It means it is not supposed, it is the culture is mean from what country? It is global. Do you have any culture or it is totally abstract?
I didn't think yet about this one.
Fair enough. There is no need. Jakub, please continue.
Yeah, just a clarification question, please, because I didn't catch at the beginning. So what was the kind of the ultimate goal or the desired effect or benefit for the which stakeholders? Is it more focused on the raising quality of for the patients or the hospitals? Or yeah, I didn't catch the kind of the let's say the value proposition.
It just to make the patient more comfortable before take the treatment from the doctor, so he can see his rating, and also all these rates will be stored and can be verified by the hospital or by the patient.
Oh, so it's like,
and also in the patient side, the patient can have the whole control of his health information. So if he take his treatment report from this hospital and want to provide it to another hospital, so he has all this information stored his own private network, and no one can mess with his information.
yeah, thank you, because what I wasn't sure about is if I understood correctly, or like, yeah, I will rephrase the question. I would be interested in the assumption, or like the what should be, or what is the mechanism that should be, let's say, quality doctor's care. Like, is it the feedback of the fear of the bad reputation, or what is the mechanism you'd like to see to be affecting the outcomes you want to see? Does it make sense, or should I say it in different words? And this is not a technical
question. Did you
question.
mean what I'm expecting?
Because as I understand it,
the output of the application?
Yeah, that it seems to me that there is a goal, desired outcome for the patients to feel more comfortable, and then there is implicit outcome for the doctors to actually in some way start acting differently, because they have this kind of feedback in the sense of reputation, right? So I'd be just interested in if you have explored like the mechanisms which should be bringing about the change in the system. And it's not a technical question, it's more like the question around the, let's say, psychosocial learning or something like that.
If it is not clear, Rezan, don't worry, because it is not technical. It is okay.
We don't need to dive into that. It's more like my questions around how actually really reputation scores like this, like what's the real, like what's the effects in the systems, and whether the assumptions actually do hold up in such systems.
For this point, I didn't deep in these things in detail, but I just think about showing the profile of the doctor, the overall about his performance or his qualification. I didn't think yet what should be present in this report before the communication or before receiving the treatment.
Okay, fair enough. Hey guys, any question about the solution, about the things that Rezan is going to implement? It means the rating is going to work, how IoT is going to be injected. It means the question about the things that Rezan is going to implement.
So
sorry, I was going to ask a question about the data input to these IoT systems. Are they going to be using sensors, or are they just like through the keyboard typing in like maybe symptoms or diagnosis?
Good question.
Yeah, it could be a data received from the smart watch, like his hair spreads or pressure blood, or it could be also as the diabetes, the embedded device that's embedded inside the patient's body. So it will save the record of each measure and send it in his private local storage. So this data will be different in according to the device that will be used.
Okay, so then
it could be also an image, an X-ray image.
And Kiki, did you receive your answer? It is an important question that where is IoT, where IoT played a role. And I would like to see that the conversation can continue.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was asking mainly, like how, because with IoT and I guess with fog computing, they process information on the edge. So I was just wondering what sort of data, what sort of like information is being processed from these patients. So that kind of answers my question, I guess.
So
I'm not a doctor, so yeah.
Razan, did you covered, yeah?
Yeah.
From my understanding, Guillaume, if you also have something you can add from last one, please. But from my side, I think from one point, there are some information from a user can collect it like a watch. It is from one side, or any devices that the user can wear or can use. For example, I myself have this blood sugar measure and fever measure and this blood pressure measure. I have all of them. So it means the basic I have, somehow I am doing. It means there can be a procedure that I can, for example, the doctor can tell me, okay, all of them has a software, I can connect and say, okay, collect all this info. And then we can see, so how we can create a channel that, I don't know, we need to think about that, just how it's supposed to be reported. My doctor's supposed to join and see or read, but generally it is the next one. First one, the source of data, all my private tools. Second one, hospital measurement. For example, I went to a hospital, the doctor coming to me and start collecting some info, like a tools for the heart rate or something like that. We can say there should be some way that devices also, they are going to collect data for hospital and also push the data to my application. It is the things coming to my mind. Anybody else, Guillaume or Rezan, would you like to add, please?
No, for me, just architecting, like all the architectures that Razan showed us had different trade-offs, and we can talk about that, but just architecting DNS in the right way can provide the agent-centric perspective on the healthcare issue, theme, topic, system, and that's a huge boost because the patient has its own information. So when the patient goes to the hospital, like there is no database segmentation, there is no going abroad and not having information, there is no disconnect there. And that's just like the beginning. The base thing is, okay, if we put that there, wow, a lot of things happen. And then if we mix it with IoT, a lot of interesting things can happen as well. Like Hidayat was saying, I'm thinking about monitoring the health of all the patients in a hospital. Like that could be, okay, interesting. And then if you have temperatures, sensors, and also different kinds of sensors, you could actually go and see how one affects the other, things like that. So yeah, I don't know, a lot of things, lot of different branches.
I feel like it's a bit like continuing with the data integrity with like the biometric details that you have maybe in control of, and then that creates the integrity with maybe the systems that the doctors use. So I think it's kind of enabling that sovereignty with your own data, as well as communicating with the doctor and kind of processing the information so that there is integrity, I think.
And Kiki, the integrity, I'm okay with the topic, somehow not okay. Look, I live in Cologne, Germany. Look what's happening. They implemented integrated system. So my friend already opened office psychotherapy. So he put the card and he can read all my history about my stomach, my leg, my foot, and I'm telling, why do you are supposed to read all my history of my health system? And she's telling me because it is centralized, all your data is here. It means any doctor, related or unrelated, can access to system, can read the whole history.
Yeah, I had a conversation recently with someone who studies genomics, and they spoke about how, well, basically technology like Holochain could really help with creating sovereign genomics data. So you are basically in control of your own biometrics. That's another fear that's been coming up recently with the whole contact tracing and coronavirus tracking stuff. But yeah, I think that's quite interesting to know that how centralized and how huge tech giants are becoming, that now that they're having control over your biology, basically.
Yeah, that's
yes. Go, Lily, go. In parentheses, go, Lily, and then please bring the topic back to the solution. We are going to support in regard of solution. Please go ahead.
okay. Sorry. Yeah, this is brought up because for a while I was actually very much involved with the cancer space. So then there's, two major components, and those are the information. Ideally, one side you want to share for research to help research. On the other hand, you want to provide the privacy. Back to what you said, just what you said. Like there are a lot of forces against people that have cancer history. So sometimes there's like this juggling priority. You want to share the data so we can help advance that, but at the same time, the privacy preservation. So then looking at the hospital network, what comes to mind is that if the data is not just within the patient's own private network, now, somebody else owns the data, what might be the concern there? That's just what comes to mind. So I'm just gonna leave it at that there.
Okay, can I jump in? Because I have a lot to add. So based on all the discussion. So firstly, this is a rich discussion we are having about privacy, research, and a lot of other details.
Arya, sorry, just please bring it
bring
back.
the topic. Okay.
Bring back. No, wait. Look, the philosophy we are gonna postpone to the end. Bring back topic to the solution that we can support Reza, and we come back to the philosophy of data sharing. And Jakub also mentioned really nice topic. Please.
Okay, so I'll bring it back. Okay, I'll just bring it back straight. So firstly, Razan, really good work is great, but remember, you'll have to have more discussions. This is a very broad space. This is all huge. So IoT space, create that. Okay, so that is one thing, and that at the end of philosophy. So when it comes to the exact thing that you want is a trust module. I will put it as trust module, a reputation currency for an interaction between a doctor and a patient. And this this space is already big. Already you can look up just reputation doctor, and you'll see a lot of websites are there who would be your potential client if you bring a module like that into picture, just FYI. And bringing to the solution part. So this is also you can implement with just an app. Just with an app where you have a doctor identified and a patient identified, and you can just start, like, not even, you don't need a patient identified. You can just do a doctor or maybe something like that. It can be a simple app, and you can implement this trust module with Holochain.
Razan, please continue.
Yeah.
If there is any topic. Any answer, any topic? I'm gonna share your question, and we are gonna right now jump into technical your answer. We are gonna support you how to implement your application. Is there anything you would like to mention? Kiki, PM, Arya, anything you would like to talk? Okay, Razan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but the connection is not stable.
Okay, guys, can you see my screen? It was the slide. I took a screenshot here. We are going to support Rezan right now to come back totally into technical. Rezan was talking about the 3 different models. Okay, this model, model B and model C, the concept of model B or model C. So I would like to ask Guillaume or Rezan if there is something else, continue, and otherwise I would like ask Guillaume to jump in, please, and to a little bit.
Can I just suggest something before we jump in? This is already very broad, that she has models over here. Let's just stick to trust, reputation part module. I'm telling you, that is something that will fly very easy in the architecture design session rather than these discussion. Let's not go there. That's my suggestion.
Your suggestion is rejected. Again?
For me, the important part here, it's not so much which modules are inside each network, but how do we architect the networks? So here we are trying to answer, how do we architect the networks so that the data is stored in the right places, and we can have proper agent, data integrity from the agent-centric perspective. Not so much which modules. So that's my perspective.
Rezan, did you hear?
Yeah.
Did you receive something? Please continue. I rejected Arya's suggestion because I would like to give you the space. It is your application. You are inside the question. It means if you think you need to split it up to different modules and analyze it, do it, please. It means if Arya topic is valid to you, accept and continue. Follow your taste. What do you need right now? Even I have an architect. I have a topic to share with you right now, but I'm waiting for your question.
Maybe it's to do with like.
Can you?
Go.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Go ahead, Reza. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just can you clarify what Aryan suggestion?
Arya's suggestion telling that because it is the application is big actually, and definitely it is true, and he suggested we can select submodule of the reputation or like and just open that module, talk about that, and then another one. Totally makes sense, but it should come from you. It means that the suggestion generally is okay, but we need to follow you. We are supposed to support you. Your question. Got the point?
That mean he wanted to say use the existing trust model as a plugin or something like that.
We don't have right now existing. Nastasia is here, or Nastasia?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just eating and I didn't want to get recorded.
It is okay. You can eat and talk. So do you see anything about the reputation as you mentioned here? You would like to add something?
No, I don't have much to add about this because I just started working on the reputation and I know more about the specifics of implementing likes in particular than about the overall architecture.
Okay. So
I would like to know what's the difference. What do we mean by trust versus reputation? I mean, I see that President, you were talking about stars, 5 stars, 4 stars. With respect to a doctor, I would think that those stars would be in various categories because, like it could be a really good doctor, or it could be a question of, how many people actually got better, or it could be a question of how many people actually liked the guy or the lady. So it could be categories, but all of that seems relative to reputation, and I don't really understand where trust comes in unless you're not meaning trust from a security perspective. We're meaning trust like, do you trust the person because they have a good reputation? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If this doctor has a good reputation in terms of his treatment, so the trust level goes up.
Trust level also, go ahead, Nasser. Let me add to Jim. Trust level also, it means this rating is valid. It means, okay, you cannot add any rating for any paid key as an agent, as a fake agent. And that's why it's go to the contribution of a hospital and the patient. It means a doctor inside the patient, the process of the treatment, delivering one rating for a doctor, and with the signature of both, that the rating would be trustable. Am I right, Guillaume or Razan?
Yes, of course, exactly.
Nasrat, please.
Yeah, thank you. Jim's question got me thinking. So this reputation would be computed only from the explicit expressions of patients. So like I'm on a patient, I rate my doctor, and that's it. So there is no implicit rating that is calculated based on how my medical data has changed since the moment I started working with this doctor until now. So For example, we could have calculated something like, I don't know, blood sugar levels that are decreasing for a patient who is visiting doctor about their diabetes or something like that. And then you would see a rating of a doctor that is both about their perception by patients and what patients think about this doctor, which is not always used by based on the doctor's qualities as a doctor. It might be just based on the fact that this doctor is a nice person. And then you have another part of the rating, which is calculated from the actual IoT data that comes from sensors and such. So would this be on the explicit rating or also implicit? I can rephrase my question if you need. Rosanne?
Yeah. Did you mean how this trust data will be sent according which criteria, or
Yeah. So the trust data, is it
based on what the patient?
Yeah. What is the base for the doctor's rating?
Or maybe if just to add to what Natasha is asking, Rizwan, you have to think more as a product owner, where you are trying to develop a product, and you have the developers with us, so you're giving us a direction, which direction you want to go with your product, and then we will architect it according to your preferences, and that is what you are. You're the product owner, so you have to think about, oh, I want product to do this, but then you have to narrow it down too.
Yes. For now, I know the system is very huge, and there is a lot of detail that could be discussed in terms of what these trust data will be sent based on which criteria and so on. And also, sometimes the rating that provided by the patient toward this doctor, maybe there is a fault not in the doctor itself, maybe in the hospital services such as the machine or something like that. So we couldn't decide and cover all these things. But what I'm focusing on is the whole architecture and how can we manage this trust, not go in all of this detail right now.
That's see.
What I'm
Thank you.
thinking of.
Mm-hmm. That helps.
I did. I'm not sure if you just answered it, but when I think of rating a doctor, you are talking about the perception of the patient, and then there's like they have peer review when they go to a medical journal as to whether the doctor did good medicine, and the patient. The patient maybe, well, I got put on this medicine, and then I got put on this medicine, and then I got put on this medicine, and I don't know if this doctor is any good, because the patient is not really qualified to say whether the doctor is doing the right thing medically. The patient doesn't have the knowledge to be able to say whether the doctor is making good medical decisions. Patient does have the knowledge to say whether the doctor is being professional, whether the doctor is treating them like a human being, like a person, whether the doctor is affable, and at some kind of abstract way, whether they did good doctoring. But you see what I'm saying? Is a patient really qualified to rate a doctor in this regard? Or what do we actually call the rating?
Jim, let me do something. I really would like to see Rezan leave today with something in hand. So I totally understand all the question. Let's make the hand dirty and help Rezan open our mind. Okay, let's go for to practice. How? Let's do this one. Okay, Rezan, we are going to design to help to see how we can help you. Okay, can you see my screen right now?
I liked option 2.
So which screen do you see? Do you see the row?
Yes, yes, draw machine.
Okay, Razan, it is the topic. It was your question. Please, I'm gonna start mostly game and others and mostly game. Let's see that how we can help. I imagine we have a three-party and an actor inside. It is a user as a patient. He's supposed to have the private data and information. We are calling a DHT or a part of application as the info of the user. Okay, it is a one actor. Second is going to be what? It's going to be hospital. So it means, let's see, we start, let's see how it's supposed to be. It is the DHT for hospital. That's it.
And one for the doctor.
Yes, sure, I will do that. Hospital, here. So it is. We have one DHT here. Imagine each of them has its own application, okay? And right now we are supposed to have one application as a DHT for Mr. Doctor. But we are in a COVID, yeah? Do we need a COVID doctor or without COVID doctor? Let's go here. It is the DHT for the doctor. Okay, let's see what is the problem of Reza and how Reza is supposed to reach. Okay, we would continue here. I'm gonna suggest Rezan, I was thinking about you for a while. It is my initial idea about the sharing and data. I'm gonna explain you. If you would like to continue here, we would like here. Otherwise, we would come back here, go from the scratch, and you help me, and we help each other to support Rezan to continue the solution. What is here? What was in my mind? What does it mean? I was thinking it is me, and we have an application with two sections for a patient. It is me as a patient. I need to have a setting that this application, which has two DNA, which has two sections as admin and guest, I can put a setting that all the data can be on a holoport and on my devices as a backup. We are gonna be the full backup of a DHT holder. This one can somehow support Jakub mentioned, I think, the thing mentioned. By the way, it was my solution. Right now, something else kept coming to my mind. I will share later. What I'm doing, I'm connecting everything to my DHT as admin panel. I'm telling, hey, it is my watch. Read everything, put the data inside. Put the data inside. Fantastic. I go to the hospital. This doctor, which is Peretti actually, supposed to be my doctor, okay? She's coming to the guest access of DHT. It is my suggestion. So I'm telling, okay, if she's gonna join here, she cannot read any data because first of all, by installing the application, she's not supposed to be a DHT holder. I don't know how, maybe DM can help, maybe there is no possibility. But I was thinking maybe we can say, I have an application, anybody agent are not supposed to be DHT holder, that's it. She's gonna come here and she's gonna be inside my DHT. Do you remember we talked about the DHT as a god? It means I created a one DHT, my agent ID is a property of DHT, and I only know it is my DHT. When the doctor joins, doctor cannot read anything because they are hash data, there is nothing for them. Then I ask, hey doctor, give me your agent address. I would create one anchor based on your agent address and create a relation, create a link to the data, to the list of data. And then immediately the doctor can load the anchor with the data, can read my data. So the doctor right now can read the data and plus I can temporarily get access, it means permission, that the devices inside the hospital also write data. Hey, please cut me if you don't understand. Or should I continue?
Yes, that means the patient can reject the permission for any time, or
Yes,
for
the things.
permanent permission.
Guillaume, if it is the
So the
if
doctor
it
can
is
access.
not good or something, please cut me. It means do not wait to the end.
I was trying to wait until you did
No,
enough
no.
of the module to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
It is a suggestion. Anybody can't say it is a wrong or correct. But
Yeah. No. I know. I just wanted to have a big enough picture so that I can. I can give questions and comments about it.
go ahead.
So I see some issues with this approach.
Okay.
Okay. Let's start one by one. One issue that I see is that here you're trying to do security by obfuscation or security by making it hard to get data from the DHT because it's hashed.
Yes.
That's not a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And any time that we come across that, I think we should think carefully about doing that. Why is that? Because data in the DHT is not really obfuscated. It's plain text, basically. And yeah, it's difficult to search, but actually if you want, you can try to get data from the DHT without having the anchors, without having the links, and so on. Like first, you can try to scan your own node.
Mm-hmm.
Second, you can try to get other headers
Mm-hmm.
from like, for example, I can say, get me all the agents,
Mm-hmm.
because I know their headers from my side of the DHT, and I can say, get me all the headers for these agents. So now I can like begin to track all the data that is in the DHT without actually having to do links and whatnot. So this is like an attack. It's not anything that you would do in a Holochain application, but this can happen. And I think it's good to address this pattern in general, not only in this specific use.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Okay.
to encrypt the data.
Okay, so Jim is right. One solution would be to encrypt the data, but that just makes it hard for the patient to admin and manage their own data. Because with which private key is that data encrypted? Is it with the phone, with the smartwatch? What if you lose that one? Do you have to encrypt with all the keys? It isn't really good pattern to use. So what I would recommend. Okay,
Yes,
go.
So with the hollow part, that's in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
And someone else can do a hard disk scan of their hard disk, and then there's patient data, there's HIPAA rules against all that. Like it's got to somehow be protected, maybe with a different key.
You're right.
The
You're right.
is right. Go.
You're right, but actually I'd like to treat that as the edge case for the general pattern that I think is good to use here. And I think that the general pattern that is used to do here is the personas one. So personas and profiles, what it does is create a different DNA per different user or agent. And then all the data that comes out of that DNA goes through direct message bridge. So it's much more like I'm giving you permission not to enter my DHT, but to do a query on my DNA of only the things I want you to see. And this could be implemented with capability tokens or whatever. Hedayat, this is very similar to the subscriptions you were trying to do in Barcelona.
Yes, let's summarize this one and go and support Reza. Generally, I wanted to say that guys, I really would like to actually bring topic back that the Reza can receive something. Maybe next week she's supposed to come or another session, and she can continue. There was I had a topic in my mind. If somebody is supposed to read my data, bring him inside. It means bring that guy inside my universe, my environment, then make the things hard for him to access and just give him the relation. It is one option. We are going to say right now, let's ignore the option and open the discussion later about the one type of architect. So it means right now we imagine the doctor supposed to read the data. Hey, one of your environments really busy. Would you please mute? So we imagine Razan. The doctor supposed to read the patient as an actor, as a patient, capability token. That's it. Capability token. It means the doctor is going to read the data, sending the request, and the data is private, everything. And if receive a capability token, sending to another address, here capability token is calling internal function, return back the data for the doctor. That's it. Gian, please continue step by step. Let's see what we can achieve for Reza here. So it is the way that the doctor is supposed to read the data from the patient. Razan, is that clear to you? Do you have any suggestion? Do you have any question here?
No, I don't have any questions. Yeah.
The pattern I'm continuing. It is good. Do you like this pattern?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
people that given that pattern, you could let. And there's some kinds of people that aren't shown, like people that are privy to your health directives. Those kinds of people, your trustees, so to speak, they could have access. They could actually have access to your network. I mean, this could be expanded to allow them to have access, but for doctor and professional access, we would use the capabilities.
I missed the first part. Sorry.
I was just saying that if this grows to a real application, there's more than just the patient that's going to be in that network. Like, for example, if the patient is a minor, the parent is going to have access. If the patient is an elderly person, the elderly person is going to have trustees or people that are on their health directive. And a lot of times you're going to have your family member, that your trusted family member is going to be on there to have access to your data. And so those kinds of people would be the only people that would be allowed actually to join into the network itself. And you would use the capabilities to give access to the professionals.
Exactly. And this solves the catastrophe scenario. Like you are unconscious or whatever, and you need to transfer, somebody needs to transfer your data, your health data to the doctor. So a family member does it, for example, or something like that.
It means family member can easily join to DHT and grant that capability token. I love this kind of designing application. Rezan, did you get the problem, part of the topic?
That means anyone join to the patient network can have a capability to share it with others.
Look, I'm gonna write it here. Anybody, if I'm not wrong, correctly. Family member can join my DNA, my DHT, then they are enabled to deliver or to issue capability token instead of me or on behalf of me. Is that clear to anybody? Rezan, is that clear to you? Why it is this here?
Yeah.
That's great. Do you see the benefit?
How?
Do you see the benefit? Look,
Explain.
yes, I explain. Look what's happening. I installed the application. My watch is here, and everything that you mentioned is here. Look, it is my watch, okay? My watch injecting the data, and I have the history. It is the watch, okay? So, and then I can invite my family member install the same DHT. As soon as they install the same DHT, the one copy of the data, it's gonna be on their phone. Imagine something happened to me and I'm unconscious. Bing! Or I'm in urgence. I'm not able to issue capability token for doctor to read my data. One of my family member can do that. Is it clear?
Yes. Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Should we continue? Do you have any question? It is the solution that we are designing the solution for you.
I like the
Yes.
capability token idea that Kim showed up with, because I think you mentioned today that your doctor, all of a sudden you went to the doctor and then he knows everything about everything you ever did to with your stomach and your foot and your elbow and everything, but you could just give certain information to a certain doctor, right?
Yes, this one. I can create a list of different data. Exactly the problem that right now we have in Germany. Any doctor can read all the history of my life. I'm going for a headache and he can see that I'm totally stupid and crazy. And he knows that all my psycho problems. You are also crazy. Yeah, but it is not related to my stomach.
Can I ask a question?
Question, yes.
Yeah, I was thinking like above what we've described here is, would you be able, do you think it would be possible to set a time limit on how long the doctor can have access to your personal data?
I
know it's difficult because the application can copy data and forward it to an external source. So I'm just thinking, like, is there a way in the architecture to limit the time, the read time for the doctor or whoever's reading your medical data?
Yeah. My answer would like to postpone the question because it is long, but Guillaume, please.
I can give a 1 minute.
Please go.
So, in short, yes and no, in the sense that once the data reaches the doctor, and the doctor has to be able to read plain text data, not encrypted data, because humans cannot read encrypted data. So once the doctor reads plain text data, you have no guarantee that the doctor won't take a screenshot of their cell phone or the screen and save it for later. Like that you have to be aware of, and that you have to at some point trust the doctor as well, and at that level. Or if not, like the doctor is going to be blind. So you have to think about that.
Required, Guillaume? I would think as a doctor, I'm required to keep a copy of all of the data that I use to make my decisions. I mean, to both to cover cover myself and to have a record. Like I have to keep that data. I shouldn't necessarily share it with my hospital or other doctors, but I got to keep the data that I looked at to make my medical decisions, because I have to keep a trail, quality records of what I've been doing.
That's a good point also. And we could think about, do you keep the whole data or do you keep a hash of the data so that then that hash can be verified against the data of the patient? That could be an interesting pattern also. But aside from that, capability token timeout, absolutely. You can code anything as far as capabilities token goes, because it's the agent granting the capability token that's in control. If I'm letting Hedayat call this function of mine, I can code whatever rules I want to let or not letting him call my function. You can, for example, you can only call my function once. And then once you have called, I revoke your key. Or you can do it based on timeout. Or you can do whatever rules you want, because it's you, the agent, that grants the capability. You have the data, you grant the capability, you control the token, the capability token. So the other is just asking, like, do you let me? Do you let me in? It's like coming into your house. Do you let me in? Yeah, today, yes, but tomorrow, no. So that's, we can think about different designs in that with those constraints.
Should we continue? Yeah. Hey guys, Razan, mostly you. Do you like the pattern I'm continuing? Do you like me to continue, or you would like to discussion normal? Please tell me.
Yes, I would like to continue if you.
Okay. Others also? Again, the pattern that we are following is good. Do you like that?
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, so it is the duty of doctor. It means I'm in a bad mood or bad system. I go to the hospital. It is one topic that we are going. Yes.
Sorry, because there was a second point I wanted to address
in
your first explanation before going to the hospital. So, can you go to the first tab? And actually, this, okay, never mind.
I'm gonna give you permission. Come on, go do whatever you
okay,
do.
Perfect. So if you see here, this DHT, this one, contains, I don't know, maybe one device, it's the laptop, maybe another one is a HoloPort, and then Jimmy, you have the issue of privacy, another family member or whatever. And here we have the smartwatch as well. What's the issue? So I think it's very beneficial to have the smartwatch as a Holochain agent and Holochain running in that smartwatch or IoT device, because it gives you two basic things, which is the smartwatch can be treated as any other agent in Holochain, can sign things, can send and receive messages, whatever. And two, all the IoT devices can be discovered in the same network. So you don't have to try to plug to external systems or whatever. It's all one network. But there is an issue here. The smartwatch surely isn't able to keep track of tens of updates and commits in the DHT about date of the patient, right? So imagine, maybe not in this exact instance, but we can imagine other IoT applications in which the IoT device is surely not able to keep track of all the DAT they need to, right? So the pattern I could see to Hedayat is already knowing where I'm going, I think. The pattern I could see forming here is you have a separate DHT in which you have all your members, like your family member, your laptop, your smartwatch as well, but that DHT doesn't get any data. Nothing is committed to that DHT. What that allows is that the smartwatch doesn't really need to be holding anything. Like the DHT is basically empty only the agents and the membrane is held in the DHT. So the smartwatch is really slick. And when the smartwatch has to commit, it sends to one of the other devices to commit on the DHT of the data. So let me try to.
Guillaume, just tell you, I'm totally confused.
Okay, perfect.
It means I didn't understand totally. You are going to put my family, my watch with my family inside one DHT? How dare you?
I think
wait.
I think he's going for the IoT. He's creating an IoT DHT.
No, wait. So,
go.
Each agent, each patient does not have one DHT, one DNA, but two.
Okay.
In the normal one, in this DHT, all the data is committed, and you have all the health of the data. And here you have your laptop, your phone, your whatever.
Yes.
Not your smartwatch.
That's it.
Because the smartwatch cannot hold so many data.
Okay, continue. Go ahead.
So what you do is create a sibling DHT with everyone inside here, also here, plus the smartwatch. So yeah, let's keep it simple. Here and here.
It's like a network for device management that can access the data.
Yeah, something like that. This network is basically empty. Doesn't hold any data. The only thing that does is connect the IoT device with all the devices of the patient. And when the IoT device tries to commit data, it doesn't commit to the DHT directly. It sends a message to commit to one of the devices. And then this device commits it on the normal DHT.
What is the reason for that?
The reason is now you got the IoT integrated with everyone, and you have all the security management that you have in Holochain, the membrane, you have the signing of the smartwatch, but the smartwatch doesn't need to hold any DHT data, and doesn't need to be like connecting and consuming bandwidth or anything like that.
So, okay, I got the point. Let me open the right question here.
Sure.
So, when we were talking connecting watch to the application, okay, let me at first ask guys, I think if you are also with question, let me clear up everything first. I will bring back everything, don't worry. In this scenario, it seems watch also installed the same DHT to push the data inside based on the Holochain culture. When any agent, it means watch also is an agent. If watch supposed to install the DHT, it means it's supposed to participate in data sharing. Got the point? It is the point. You got the point, yes? So it is the main issue, and that's why GM suggesting, hey, we can have a watch in a different DNA, and the data sharing is going to be a communication between two DNA. First of all, please let me know if you understand why we need two DNA. Razan, did you understand the topic?
Yes, I get the point.
Nastasia?
Yeah, I just raised the hand to show that I understand.
Okay.
And I don't mean that all the IoT applications need to go like this, but I think it's a very interesting pattern, at least to take into account when designing for IoT.
I'm wondering in that way, it is, okay, Guillaume, right now continue, it's clear. Why you want to bring the people here?
Because if you have a DHT without this one and without this one, this link cannot exist.
No, it is the DHT of, it means I'm buying a watch or I'm installing a watch, okay? And there is a DHT named XYZ, okay? I can create a connection between these two and notify that, or maybe I can tell on installation, it is the target you are supposed to push your data. And then it's going to push the data to this DHT with the capability token or something that I provide.
No, that's not possible. From one DNA, you cannot talk to another DNA if there is an agent with both DNAs installed. You cannot send the watch here cannot send a message to the patient if the patient isn't on this first DNA.
I see. It means it's gonna be the plane, the bridge.
Exactly.
Should I explain, guys, or you are at the same page?
Yes, can you just recap that?
Okay, yes. So when Guillaume, I'm your translator actually. Generally, it is the watch. It is the watch. We are installing application here, and it has its own DHT. Okay, it is its own DHT. Fantastic. Okay. It is working pretty nice. The watch is collecting all the data inside the DHT and ready to produce to somewhere. How we need to do that? All the doctor's supposed to connect here. Okay, we are telling, push your data here. How to push your data here? Okay, you join here. But I cannot join here. If I join here, the whole DHT is supposed to copy on my device. I don't have enough space. I don't want to join here. The reason that we create a separate DHT, I think, okay, I know what to do. Would you please ask patient also to come here? I produce data to the DHT. It means I produce the data. Patient read that data and then push to one agent here. And this agent push data to my DHT.
Wait, no, not exactly. Because if the watch commits to this DHT, we have the same problem. The watch is committing to the DHT, and this DHT is supposed to be empty. So what the watch does is directly.
Live, huh? Why you shouldn't commit? Because you are telling it is sending a message to this one message to this one commit to DHT. So exactly. Why? Because it is on Hackalong, and the Hackalong is saving the. I'm gonna correct. Hey guys, let me at first challenge with Guillaume. I'm gonna explain you. Don't worry. So why I shouldn't commit to the DHT? DHT in my Hackalong, and there is a memory. I can have it. Why not?
Okay, imagine that now you have 5 different IoT devices.
Oh, you are gonna bring everybody here. So, what about the availability? So,
what do you mean? The availability
for any reason, the communication is broken. If there is a live communication, the data is gonna be lost.
No, if the data is stored separately from Holochain.
So why we shouldn't go to the network of network? It means why we shouldn't go to something like that? Why I have something like that?
Sure. Yeah, that's another possibility. Okay, that's another
pattern. Hey guys, my first word was valid and I like that one. I'm gonna explain both. You can help which one do you like. The first one, it is something like that. Look, Guillaume translator. Watch is in one DHT. We are going to install the mobile in the same DHT. It means, again, both of them are on the same application. Again, all of them are going to maintain the data of DHT. So it is not correct because on the mobile, there is a lot of data. On the watch, we don't have enough one. And that's why GM suggesting they are not saving the data. They are sending a direct message live to one person, that person sending direct message to that person, and that person coming to DHT. It is the solution. So the DHT is not getting any data, and we don't have any problem for a duplication, data duplication on devices. So the question that if for any reason the line is broken, the data is going to be lost because it is sending a direct message, and then commit. So I'm suggesting this one. Any device, one network.
Sorry, Daya.
Go.
Sorry. Can I suggest maybe you do use a different color to signal direct message versus, I don't know, different communication links? Just a suggestion, sorry. So you have a couple direct messages here, right? You're saying the watch is sending direct message to the patient.
This one, yeah.
The patient have a direct message to this patient DHT, I guess. And then that patient DHT pushes the data out to the more public DHT.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Watch sending a message to patient. Okay.
Yeah.
Then.
Thank you.
This patient finding that patient on another DHT. The patient receive a message and commit to its own DHT. And then Monsieur Doctor is coming and reading the data and sending one of the guy, can you give me capability token to read? They are issue capability token. And then Monsieur Doctor can go here and read the data. It is the data. Is that clear right now?
Can I make one slight correction?
Yes, sure.
Sorry, this green line that goes from the patient to the patient, it's not a send receive message, it's a bridge.
It's a bridge.
This one it's a bridge. So that, yeah, sorry.
Can you define a bridge?
Lily, you are muted. You asked something.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say if you can put like B, M, or P for publish to the HT. So okay, this is a bridge. This is like direct message.
It is bridge.
Because they're sitting on the same conductor, right?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah,
it's
look,
a bridge.
it is
two different DNAs.
It is direct message.
Yeah. Okay.
It is bridge, and it is commit. How can I write here? It is, and also it is bridge. Also, it is a direct message.
How do you send a direct message via the bridge? Because there's two different agent IDs, right? Different DHTs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't send. Those are two different mechanisms. You can do two things. First, send receive a message. Send receive message is for two different agents on two different conductors on the same DHT. Right? So I'm talking to Hedayat and I say, hey, Hedayat, this. Bridge is from the same agent in the same conductor, two different DNAs. So what I can do is I can send a message for you to bridge.
It is message. Two persons inside the same DNA. It is message. It is bridge.
So does when you go to send a message,
it is bridge. That's it. Got it, everybody?
No, two person. You say two persons in the same. Isn't bridge the two DNAs in the same conductor, right? So it's really the same user, is it? But
yeah.
Maybe two different agents, but it's the same user. It's just because they're in different DNA, that's why they have different addresses. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to confuse too much, but that's exactly right. Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
Jim. By the way, guys, I'm gonna ruin the solution. Do not continue. It is not the right solution. Wait a second. It is not right. Let me continue. Let's see which I'm telling. It is not correct because I don't like it honestly. I would like to say any device one day can install one holochain from the factory even, like the things Samsung is doing. It means we have a one DHT for a watch, one DHT for, it means any of them has its own different DHT. So the main problem is gonna be vanished. What is the main problem? That all of the watch or all of the devices supposed to keep all the data. There is no need. Here, there is one devices. I'm gonna install that one and participate. That's it. Right now, what is happening? This scenario is happening. Let's go to the fantastic another topic. What's happening here? Mobile device, write to DHT. Patient, it is me. I'm reading this one. When there is a connection, I'm sure everything. Sending a bridge, it is bridge. To here, to myself. And then I'm writing to my DHT, the data. It is my suggestion.
So
Please,
how do you know when to make that bridge?
we can add a one field that it is dirty or it is synced or not synced, something like that. I'm reading the data. There are a block of data. You know, there are a block of data that this watch or this watch created some entry. For example, every evening create one list of data. My heartbeat. Okay, what is the first flag? It means the first flag of the entry is dirty, D. I'm reading this one. I'm sending this one to myself. Commit to your. Let's name it the repository data, repository or data warehousing, DW, data warehouse. Hey, put in your data warehouse. Send me back, it is correct. It is correct, yes, it is synced, that's it. But any device, one DHT. Razan, is there anything clear to you? Please do not tell me you are confused.
I'm following you.
Don't worry. My expectation that was a little bit smoother. If you didn't understand, I'm ready to explain you in a standalone and separated session. Okay?
Okay.
Don't worry.
Thank
If you didn't get it, don't worry. I will support you for your application. Hey guys, please, any question? Because we are in 2 hours, I'm not gonna continue. We will continue in another time.
I'm kind of conscious of the fact that we started talking about all of the IoT data, but what Resin was going to start with was the trust data. And then she was going to go on to the IoT data, and we haven't talked about the trust data at all, about where the ratings would be held. So
Jim, in 2 hours, zillion question, opinion, philosophy, anything, how we can finish it?
I know, I'm just saying, maybe we should give her some more time next week or something, because we didn't get at the thing that she wanted to get at first, which was the trust. But that's what she's doing for her thesis, was the trust part of it. And then she was going to start thinking about this. I mean, I think this is background, because we have to know where she's going in order to know, like this, we have to know that we're heading in this direction. I think what we did is really good, but then we should try to layer the trust stuff on top of this.
You are totally true, but Reza, I'm totally happy. It is really, I don't know you or Gian, I think it is the fantastic start. All the time I was thinking how we are going to manage this IoT, and right now we are a good position to start. A lot of other topics maintained here, we are going to cover later. That's it. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you for you all for
Did
this
you gain
discussion.
something? Did you gain something today? Did you understand how the first step supposed to be managed?
Yes, now I can imagine how can we manage this data, but I missed some details. So I will go back to the recording video and see.
Don't worry, it was also the question we asked you last session, that where is the IoT? How we can manage the IoT? Where is the DHC of IoT? We found it. Honestly, I recognize it was the good start. Don't worry, if you didn't start, review the session. Even if it is not clear to you, I will explain you another time to continue your job.
And reply to the thread also, so we know who are you on the forum, so we can ping you. Yeah, and especially
Yes,
this is a great topic, and your trust module, we'll have it ready in 4 months, right? That's your deadline. We'll have it ready.
yes. Thank you, Ariane. Thank you all.
Thank you too.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, thank you too. You're welcome. From my side, it's finished. I'm really tired. Guillaume, please close if you.
No, I'm also really tired. A lot of content today. Sorry for not being all that. Yeah, with all the clarity of all the days, but yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in, and it feels like this is becoming more alive every week, and this is awesome. So thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Love the
guys.
discussion. Thank you so much.
See you next week, and also we would continue the IoT later. We will finish it. We will finish.
Yeah,
That's great. Thank
Bye,
you
guys.
very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Have a good
Thank
week,
you.
everyone.